Ben Moats. Ben Moats. So, growing up, my family wasn't really religious, but every Christmas Eve, my mom made us get all nice and dressed up and go to church. Do like the whole, candlelight service. But as we got older, she started thinking it was a good idea to kind of sugarcoat it by letting us go to a movie Christmas Eve, and then we would all go home, quick get showered, out the door, and go to church. Well, as we got older, this kind of got into more tradition. Well, then when I went off to college, kind of started losing my whole faith and stuff like that. So trying to figure out, well, what can I do so I don't have to go to this midnight or candlelight service. So kind of thinking in my head, I figured I'd call my little brother, who's only a couple years younger than me, and he's been thinking the same thing. So we're like, well, what can we do? What can we do? Well, if we go to a movie that we can't get out of in time to go to candlelight service, we're off the hook. So we're going through and we're trying to figure out, well, what movie can we see? Well, luckily that was the year that Lord of the Rings first came out. It's like, all right, 3 hours of movie. This will work. This will be great. Okay, well, so he's looking through the paper at home trying to find out, well, okay, there's show times at 5 o'clock. No, that's too early. We're going to get out in time. We'll have to go to, okay, there's a 7 o'clock. All right, that works. So I quick go through and start looking at the train schedules, figuring, all right, well, I can't catch this one because I have to do this. All right, so I'll get in at 6:30, then we have to go to the 7 o'clock one, which means we'll get out at 10 o'clock, which means 10:30, church service will already, they're already halfway through. There's no way she's going to make us go. But now for our plan to work, we got to get her to okay this. So we're thinking, all right, so we're working on it, all right. So he goes in and he's like, Mom, we know what movie we want to see. And she's like, oh, that's nice. What would you like to see this year? We want to see this movie called Lord of the Rings. Okay, well, that sounds fine. All right, we can do that. So, all right, first plan's off the hook. Well, don't forget to ask your father. Okay, now he's smarter than she is, so he's going to ask the question, well, how long is the movie? But we got that covered, so I call my dad and I say, hey, Dad, we figured out what movie we want to see. Oh, what movie? Lord of the Rings. Well, okay, that kind of seems like a long movie. Well, I know, but Mom said it's okay. All right, so now I start realizing now that maybe Dad's not into this whole going to this candlelight service thing either. So I go home, everything goes off without a hitch. We get to the movie theater and we're outside the movie and we're standing in line and my mom, now she gets the idea to ask the guy behind the ticket thing, well, how long's this movie? Right then, me and my brother are like, oh man, our plan's done. Oh, it's 3 hours, ma'am. Oh, okay. All right, so somehow this has gotten past her. So we're sitting in the movie, and we're on our edge of our seats. I don't know if you guys seen this movie, but there's sword fights and bows and arrows, everything flying through the air. It's like, oh, this is so great. I look over at my brother, and he's like, yeah, this is awesome. All right, and we're checking our clock. Yeah, okay, it's 10 o'clock. All right, movie, credits start going, and oh, well, let's get going. Well, Mom, there might be something after the credits, There's okay, and we're sitting there, and it's the credits are slowly going. And we're like, yeah, that was awesome, that was great. And we're talking about the movie, and she's sitting there all nice and calm. And I'm like, all right. So now I'm looking at my clock. It's 10:30, 11:15. There's no way we're going to make it because we got to go all the way across town back to our other church. And we get outside and we're walking to the car, and she's like, all right, well, now it's time for church. But Mom, there's no way. Church started at 10. She's like, oh no, there's a church right there that starts at 11. Okay, so she's one step ahead of us. So we go to church. We have to go to church. Now, back at my other church, we kind of knew people and all that. Well, this one we knew nobody. So we're sitting there on the edge of our seats in the pews, trying to be good little. But all the whole time we're thinking of arrows going through the air and alerts, and all of a sudden, if a group of trolls came through that way, we could grab our swords and attack them. Oh man, but we're trying to be good. We're trying to be good. I look over at my dad. My dad's just sitting there trying to be good. Well, get done with church. Needless to say, it's now midnight. We're tired. We're walking out to the car, and my mom kind of looks over it, and me and my brother were like, yeah, that was awesome. And she looked over and she goes, wow, that would have been nicer if orcs would have been in the church service. Thank you.